A very warm welcome to everybody joining today's City Spotlight session focusing on Dublin and all part of the Digital City Festival week that's taking place. A big thank you to you, our audience, for joining us today. Unfortunately, Sarah Novotny is unable to act as today's host, so it gives me great pleasure to jump in and to cover the post of host today. This is a series of City Spotlight sessions that's taking place throughout the week, all of which you can watch back on demand in the future. And just to give you a bit of a flavour, so far we've focused on Osaka in Japan, Austin in Texas, Melbourne over in Australia, but as I say, today's focus clearly on Dublin. My name's Jeff Bocock, International Trade Development Manager here at the Growth Company in Manchester, which supports businesses locally, nationally, and also internationally to grow. So it's my great pleasure to be host for today, and joining me, we have a great panel, so I'd just like to introduce those to you today. Firstly, we've got Andrew Toolan, who's Head of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships at Midas. And we've got John O'Day, CEO from Tech Ireland, who track and promote tech startups and scale-ups across Ireland. Also joining us, Jamie Cudden, Smart City Lead at Dublin City Council. And finally, Jeff Walsh, Managing Director of Energy Peak, a business based in the Manchester region. With regards to the session overview and etiquette, attendees' microphones will be on mute, but as I say, we will be recording this session. Just to give you an overview of the actual running order for today, I'll be handing over to Andrew from Midas shortly. He'll give us an overview of Manchester's economy, what it has to offer, and also the tech ecosystem that wraps around that. And then we'll hand over to John, who will give us a similar overview with regards to Dublin, and then we'll jump into a panel discussion focusing on some of the key strengths and opportunities that both cities have to offer, and looking at some of the success stories from a business perspective to help you and your businesses to grow in the future. We will keep eye on any chat or any questions that are posed through the Q&A function. So please, we do encourage you to post any questions in there as well. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Andrew Toolan from Midas to give us an overview with regards to everything that Manchester has to offer. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for joining the session today. I suppose I wanted to start with the headline message, really, that innovation has always been at the heart of Manchester. If you look at our history, the city region has always been a pioneer in bringing forward new ideas, whether through business and industry, scientific research, political and social movements. We've always been a trailblazer and sort of challenging the status quo and looking to do things differently is one of our mottos. So, moving forward, innovation will remain a key part of our economy to essentially grow a very inclusive, sustainable, green economy that works for all. So it's a very exciting time in Manchester at the moment. So what I wanted to do is just give you a bit of an overview of some of the key facts and stats and where we feel some of the strengths and specialisms lie. So we're a population of just shy of 3 million across Greater Manchester, but we have within an hour's commute just over 7 million people that we can have access to. So for companies that are looking to set up a base here, not only have they got a large metro labour force to pull in from, we also are connecting and touching into cities like Leeds and Liverpool. So it really gives companies confidence that they can scale those operations really quickly. So you've got a very established existing workforce, but then also if you look at the workforce that's coming through from the emerging talent universities, we've got 5 universities across the GM area. 22 within that hour's catchment again. So they are churning out a number of graduates and undergraduates that businesses can access as well. So a really good place to grow and to scale your business. We're a very international city. Manchester Airport has it's the third largest outside of Heathrow and Gatwick, and part of our role is making sure that we're continuing to build those international links to facilitate that trade and investment flow. We're a very cost competitive location as well. So for companies that are looking to set up their first base within the UK, Greater Manchester is competitive not just on wages, but also on property costs as well. So again, giving companies confidence that they can grow and scale operations here. The next slide, please, Naomi. So we did a piece of work last year, which was with an organization called the Data City. And it was the first of its kind. It was using an AI tool to look at where the strengths existed across Greater Manchester relative to the rest of the UK. And the findings within that we were the UK's top digital tech city. We've got a number of subsectors that we're really strong and growing in particular sectors like e-commerce and cybersecurity. We've had some big investments in recent years in the cyber and defence space from companies like Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and then the government's intelligence agency, GCHQ, established a base here a couple of years ago as well. So as part of that investment where they're creating lots of jobs, there's really a great opportunity for companies that want to come in and partner with them, working through their accelerator program to come in and trial and test new products and services. And then say on sectors like e-commerce, we've got some really great homegrown success stories. Boohoo, Pretty Little Things, Misguided, the Hut Group, and other companies, AO.com, Auto Trader. So we're really seeing Manchester as being a real competitive offer globally, and organisations where not just tech companies can come in, but also other businesses and industries that are looking to grow their tech footprint. Next slide, please. So in terms of those businesses and the opportunities for them to come in, so Midas, we're part of an organisation funded through the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. So it's a devolved city region, and that gives us and the mayor a number of different powers in a sense to control our own destiny. A big part of devolution was us getting control of the £6 billion healthcare and social care budget. So that's a great opportunity for companies within sectors like life sciences and technology to come in, work with the NHS and work with some of our partner and gateway organisations like Health Innovation Manchester to deliver better products and services, improve patient care, and drive efficiencies across that public sector and that healthcare piece. We've got a large number of banks and financial services companies in the region. So whether that's established players like Barclays, which have their largest tech centre just south of the city. We've got Bank of America in the region, WorldPay, BNY Mellon, NatWest. And a lot of these organisations have incubators, accelerator spaces where their senior decision makers will be working out of, so are looking to work with other fintechs or companies that will have products and services that are helping those organizations address challenges and sort of their aspirations around innovation. So really good opportunities across public sector, across financial services, sectors like e-commerce, where there's a lot of businesses that fintechs and others may want to partner with. Next slide, please. So in terms of why Manchester, I've talked about the talent, an exponential workforce for you to collaborate and access from. One of the things that we feel is very strong is we often say, Manchester it's big enough that there's enough opportunities for everyone, but also small enough that allows for a lot of collaboration to take place within that ecosystem. So for companies that are coming in and they may be working in different industries, there's a lot of collaboration across those sectors. So it just enables business growth to take place a lot more easier. We talked about our connectivity and how we're looking to improve that to really grow our presence in other international markets to facilitate more collaboration and trade and investment flows. Next slide, please. So in terms of Midas, we're there to support companies, whether it's new companies looking to come in and set up or existing companies that are looking to grow. So we will provide support throughout the whole investment cycle, helping businesses identify or map out the business opportunities, so providing a lot of the data and intelligence that they need, and then all of the practical help they need to establish, like finding property, access to finance, PR, marketing, relocation support. So we're really there to work with businesses throughout that whole investment cycle, once they land and then as they continue to grow. Thank you, Naomi.
Lovely, thanks very much for that, Andrew. Great insight in terms of what Manchester has to offer for any businesses out there that are thinking investing in Manchester as a target market for them. So yeah, great pleasure to hand over to John now to learn equally more about what Dublin has to offer for those businesses thinking of investing within that particular area as well. So over to yourself, John. Still with us, John?
John, I believe you're on mute there.
Yeah, that is probably the most used expression nowadays. You're on mute.
We were just joking before, weren't we, John, that if anybody falls short of that, it's a pint of Guinness in the future when we meet up.
Okay, well, that's an opportunity to get you guys over to Dublin then. So thanks for the opportunity to talk to you, and I'm just going to let you know something about Dublin and Ireland's tech ecosystem. Tech Ireland is essentially a database of tech startups, multinationals, investors, and tech hubs in Ireland. So our job is to, I suppose, promote and give information about the Irish tech ecosystem. Next slide, Naomi. So in terms then of the tech startups, this is a pie chart, I guess, of the different sectors. The largest one is enterprise solutions, followed by health, medical, fintech, entertainment, da-di-da. So it just gives you a feel for the breakdown of the tech community here, the indigenous tech community here. Actually, this is for the island of Ireland. For Dublin, it's very similar, but the health medical would be slightly smaller, and the fintech would be slightly larger. Next one, Naomi. And in terms then of the funding going into the tech sector here, it broke 1 billion for the first time last year to 1.2 million. Next slide, Naomi. And this is what it looks like. Essentially, 1.2 billion, 1.19 billion went into indigenous tech businesses last year. That was 264 companies, and of that, 750 million went into Dublin indigenous tech companies. Next one, Naomi. And it's a bit like, I suppose, all these things. There's a Pareto sort of effect. 10 companies at the bottom there raised 600 million, and then at the top, 107 companies, got their first seed investment. So that's about the size of the Irish tech startup community. About 100 to 120 new tech companies get into the seed investment round every year. Next one, Naomi. And this is just some clusters. As you see, the Dublin has by far the largest cluster of tech businesses in Ireland. About 45% of the total are in Dublin, with other clusters in Cork, in Limerick, in Galway. The slide, there's a little cluster on the left of the screen there, is just a little map of tech businesses, indigenous tech businesses within a kilometre of Trinity College Dublin, and there are over 100 of them, and a lot of multinationals as well, and they're building a business innovation district in that area. But on the Tech Ireland site, there are lots of cluster maps like that, and you can identify where they are. Next slide, Naomi. And about 300 innovation hubs, that's kind of co-working spaces, accelerators, innovation hubs, research centers, and what have you. Next one, Naomi. Dublin has been, and Ireland in general, I mean, has been very successful in terms of foreign direct investment. There are over 250,000 people working in FDI businesses in Ireland, and Dublin has a great collection of tech businesses, European headquarters of Facebook, Airbnb, Twitter, Teamwork, and what have you. So as you can see, I think there are about over 100 FDI tech businesses in Dublin, and Dublin has acquired some more fintech businesses as a result of Brexit and UK fintech companies or financial companies locating into the EU. Next one, Naomi. Okay, so if you've got tech startups, you have accelerators. So we have a great collection of accelerator programs. So pretty well every month or two, there's something that's opening up in that space for early stage businesses. I just point the one in the top line there in black, NDRC, that's the National Digital Research Centres Accelerator. That's recruiting at the moment, so you have 2 weeks to get your application into that. That's a good one, 100K sort of investment and lots of other supports. Next one, Naomi. And with so many multinationals, with so many indigenous companies, there's a very lively and an energetic community of meetups, hackathons, conferences, and what have you. So every night in Dublin, well, up to COVID, I guess, there was a meetup happening or what have you. So it's a very lively tech and startup city. Next one, Naomi. Dublin, a bit like Manchester, actually. Dublin has 4 universities, and there is also universities in Cork, in Limerick, and in Galway, and each of them have research centres, innovation, incubation hubs, and what have you attached to them. Next one, Naomi. This is just a feel for the investors into tech in Ireland. The 2 big names on the left there are Enterprise Ireland, which is the state seed fund essentially, and the Halo, the Business Angel Network. So at the very early stage, they're the 2 big players. Once you get to larger kind of seed rounds and up to the low millions, it tends to be Irish VCs, and there are several of them. And then once you get beyond that, I guess it's the international funding is the norm. So that's kind of an overview of the tech sector. I did actually look. Dublin is small, and Ireland is probably about the same size as Greater Manchester, and because of that, Irish tech businesses tend to internationalize early. And usually the UK is the first market outside Ireland, followed by the States and Europe. That's kind of the usual path. And with that, companies establish bases in those places. I did look at the Tech Ireland database. The next one, Naomi, if you would please. And that was how many Irish tech companies have a base in the UK, and 350 have bases and operations in the UK, and actually 16 Irish tech companies have bases in Manchester. And that's a great way. If an Irish company is thinking of Manchester, we'd always point them. Talk to guys from home who've actually done it. I don't know how many Manchester companies have bases in Dublin and in Ireland, but they certainly would be welcome. And if we can give them any help or any assistance in finding the right kind of corner here, we'd be happy to do so. That's it.
Lovely. Thanks very much for that, John. Yeah, it's great to learn more about Dublin and the growth in the tech businesses generally. You know, you touched on there about fintech and the medical and healthcare, breaking through that €1 billion barrier as well, and underpinned by some great universities and education support there as well. So thanks very much indeed for that. Yeah, keen to bring in the rest of the panel now, and to go through a couple of questions really to help and support businesses out there are perhaps thinking of taking the first steps into those respected markets. So if I can bring in yourself first, please, Jeff. Jeff from Energy Peak, a business based in Manchester, as I said before. I'm really keen to hear about your overall journey, Jeff. And that's from your perspective and Energy Peak. Perhaps if you can just give us an outline of perhaps some of the key drivers, the hurdles that you encountered, and perhaps some of the really great successes that you've experienced so far.
Super. Thanks for the opportunity to be able to speak today. I suppose Energy Peak, for the Irish people on the calls, is an ESB company. So it is fully funded and fully owned by ESB. That is much more, I suppose, known within the Irish side than it would be in the UK side. So Energy Peak are up and running 3 months. So we're still very much at our infancy. And the excitement of startup chaos is still with us. So we're very happy with that. Just to talk about the drivers, so as Andrew mentioned at the start, the size and scale of Manchester within an hour, so there's 7 million people, opportunities there, and Energy Peak is an SME offering. So if you were to just have the proxy of the population to be SMEs, that scale aspect is there. There's also an element of the ESB family being in Manchester, and like every good startup, we are currently squatting in the ESB Energy offices in Peterhouse. So it's great to have an element of other colleagues around that may not be working in the same area, but within the same group. And another element of what drives us, and I suppose this is our core mission, is to be the honest energy broker. We understand that the energy broker market over time has been rife with bad practice. And that's an element we want to own, and we want to change that. So how do we do that? We separate the cost of energy versus the cost of our service so that customers can make an informed decision. Whereas at the moment, there's an awful lot of hidden commissions, and I suppose trust has been eroded in the market. In relation to hurdles, one important aspect is energy blindness. So does SME owners know what the appropriate rate is? Do they know if there's hidden commissions? Do they know if they're being overcharged? So it's important, and that's one aspect of Energy Peak, is any energy questions we have, we love to talk to businesses, and we are offering free energy audits for Manchester businesses to bring that education to them. There's also one aspect of regulation. So you mentioned about the net zero and the Manchester goals until 2038. So that was another element there that was really, really important to us, that the city as a whole seen that as being very important. So we want to be able to assist and help businesses on their journey of energy efficiency, whether that's just understanding a kilowatt hour or what green energy really is, right the way up to solar panels installations. So it's that advisory piece. And on the regulation side, right now, something people may not know about is energy brokers are not regulated. And it is something that Energy Peak are happy to support. We feel that they should be regulated. And that is a way where we can have common, honest practices going forward. In relation to small wins in the first 3 months, I suppose that's an element of keeping motivated as a startup. And I think that really comes down to virtual networking during COVID. So obviously you can't meet up like you used to, but the Manchester people have been absolutely brilliant, and we're putting together some case studies of Manchester businesses who have become our customers now in the first few months. So we're really excited to see what can happen in the year to come.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Yeah, it just ties in with a point that I know that Andrew was wanting to cover as well. So thanks for covering that, Jeff. In terms of Energy Peak's focus and challenges, really to become carbon neutral and link in with the wider green agenda, which should certainly be coming up and discussed as part of the mayoral visit to Ireland later on this year. By both Manchester's and Liverpool's mayor as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that green agenda develops, and equally, you know, how we build on those existing links between Manchester, Liverpool, and Ireland as well. But thanks for that, Jeff.
No worries.
If I can bring in as well at this point, coming to yourself, Jamie, you know, from Dublin's perspective, in light of its ecosystem and the practical support that Dublin City Council can offer businesses that are considering investing in Dublin. Can you throw the light on, you know, the practical support that the council can offer from a digital and tech perspective?
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Thanks very much for the invite today. And John, I suppose building on your presentation, I mean, what really stands out for Dublin is just that ecosystem. I mean, what we have from a tech ecosystem is absolutely phenomenal. And maybe just to give a sense of life to it, you know, when I lead a smart city program in Dublin City Council, I know, and within the council, we know about all the problems that we face. But, you know, when you've really smart people working for some of the biggest tech companies, you have amazing research centers, and it builds on Andrew's point, you know, how do you bring that together and nurture that ecosystem? So I think the kind of supports, like we have a Industrial Development Authority, the IDA, they're absolutely the guys to go to if you're looking to invest in Ireland. But that's it for the kind of bigger kind of investment priorities. What we really try to, I suppose, nurture from a city council perspective is, you know, the city as a test bed. We have this kind of mantra where we can do things quickly. We can allow you as your company to test things in districts. We run a whole of smart district program. Docklands or Silicon Docks was the first area we started that, working with companies like Google, and working with companies like IBM, Intel, everyone you can think of we've worked with or we are working with. But it's about kind of bringing, you know, projects to life, bringing the right connections with the right partners, and leveraging national innovation funds. There's significant investment available in Ireland if you're looking to innovate, if you're looking to test new technologies across medtech, fintech, smart city tech, and then you've got the whole ecosystem of accelerators and structured programs and mentors to do that. So that's the type of role that the city plays, the kind of brokering role, the kind of role where we create the environment and we create the opportunities. And, you know, under mobility, under energy, under climate action, you know, there's so many areas that there's significant investment. I think we're all hopefully going to spend our way out of COVID and invest in the right things. It's a move away from austerity. And with that brings huge opportunities, massive investments in I suppose, metros, in next generation bus projects, in retrofitting programs. And that, you know, what underpins that, the things like, you know, connectivity, 5G, Internet of Things, big data, and then there's a whole ecosystem of partners that can create opportunities there and create new services, solutions that, you know, you may test in Dublin, you may test in Manchester as a pilot, but it's a global marketplace. So you need your sites to prove these. So from a city council, we provide those opportunities. So I guess from all different sizes, we find we work with startups across Europe, internationally, who are looking at maybe, you know, potentially testing products or, you know, inspiring us with their ideas. Then we, you know, the next stage, maybe they have an opportunity to test something in Dublin. Maybe they'll start up with a kind of working with a kind of an accelerator program, or they might want to just hub here, hot desk, and, you know, create some new opportunities, right up to, you know, working with a great company you have based in Manchester called ARM. And, you know, we've worked with a couple of projects with ARM because we were quick to innovate, and we allowed them to deploy solutions in Dublin faster than they could do in other cities. So it's all about being agile, and the city being at the heart of that, the city not being a blocker, but being an enabler, and hopefully hitting our climate targets, creating better cities, more livable cities with better services and outcomes for everyone.
Brilliant, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, it sounds like there's certainly a big hotbed of activity, you know, within Dublin. It comes back to you know, the focus that was spotlighted before in terms of those clusters, not just across Ireland, but also you know, across Dublin specifically. Great. I can come back to yourself, Andrew, again, just building on those unique aspects that you touched on from Manchester's perspective and the ecosystem. What practical support would you really like to shout about to help those businesses out there that are looking to invest in Manchester from a digital perspective?
Yeah, well, the main piece of advice I'd give everyone is reach out to us, because there's a lot of support that exists across Greater Manchester. whether that's through the work that Midas do. We're part of the wider group, the Growth Company, which has a number of services that they're offering to companies, but we can also act as a bit of a broker to do a lot of signposting for organizations. And as I mentioned in my presentation, it's quite a well networked ecosystem, and lots of people do know one another. So we are often able to, if we don't know the answer, able to reach out to someone who does. So yeah, I would just really advise people to get in contact with us, and let's sit down and understand, what are your aspirations, what are the challenges that you've got, and then we can work out a plan of action around how we can help facilitate that. But knowing the types of customers that you're after, the types of partners that you want to work with, we can also advise, what are the good areas, where you may consider going within the city region.
Brilliant, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, just wanted to
on that, just to mention, I can attest to that. Midas has been very, very helpful to understand the different organizations across the city, but also to get you in contact with particular people, and have them warm intros. And especially during COVID, they have been vital to us starting off from zero. So I can really attest to that. So anybody that is thinking of it, to reach out to Midas, because I found the service brilliant.
Brilliant. Thanks for highlighting that, Jeff. Yeah, just zooming back out, in terms of the discussions that we've had collectively so far. It is clear that there's a number of areas of existing commonality, across Dublin and equally Manchester as well. So coming back to all panel members, and start perhaps with Andrew first. How do you feel that we can really build on these areas of commonality, ultimately to support those businesses that are considering expansion into Manchester or Dublin? There's some real key areas there, but just keen to understand what you think we can build on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at both cities, we've got some great assets, some fantastic institutions, whether it's Trinity in Dublin or University of Manchester. So these are world leading, well recognized types of institutes, and for a lot of companies that are looking at maybe their net zero agenda, or how they pivot towards digital, go through their digital transformation, they will need to work with partners in order to fulfill those goals. So I think where we can look at our asset base and make sure that we're developing the right messages which are fit for industry. I think that there's definitely some commonality there. I think as well, Manchester, there's a big diaspora of the Irish community here in and the wider Northwest, to be fair, but a lot within Manchester. And I think both cities, we are very outwardly facing, very international, and that's very appealing and attractive for companies as they come in and want to access new markets, but also build a diverse workforce. So I think that there's lots that we can probably do around that culture piece as well, and the shared history that we've got with one another, to then to take that message out. So I think these type of things are quite appealing for companies as they're looking at both innovating and then thinking about bringing in a diverse workforce to help them fulfill their goals. And I think both Manchester and Dublin have got a lot of similarities on that front, being very global, outwardly facing cities.
Great. If I can bring in, thanks for Andrew, and if I can bring in Jamie for your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Andrew. I mean, we've had a number of projects. We actually had a European project collaborating with Manchester City Council, and also we ended up working with a couple of companies where they were testing products in both Manchester and Dublin. One was a smart bike light designed by a company in Northern Ireland called C-Sense. I don't know if you guys remember any of those projects, collecting data on potholes as people cycled in their city. And we were one of the few cities that kind of got in early with some of these innovative companies and helped them kind of grow their longer term trajectory. So Yeah, I mean, I found it wonderful dealing with the guys at the university as well, and very similar mindset. And I mean, the other thing, we face similar challenges as well. So there's definitely areas to collaborate with there, and things like we were even having conversations with a lot of the UK cities in terms of roadmaps for how you're deploying technology like 5G, because this is going to enable the next generation of innovation. So the faster we get these networks deployed, the quicker we can take advantage of them and innovate and support companies. So yeah, I think it's the same mindset, the same challenges, and I think it's great that there's more of this relationship building happening now and also this year. I think we'd be very supportive of that. And I think from a Tech Ireland, and if you looked at all the different supports there, there's so many different accelerators and programs. I mean, check out Dog Patch Labs, our NDRC program, also our Smart Dublin website. We have regular calls, so maybe companies are interested in, calls for pilots, funded pilots, collaborations. So keep an eye on that, because there's always stuff happening. A new district we've just launched is looking at health and well-being. It's at the center of a €1 billion children's hospital and a new medical district. And I know you guys are well ahead in terms of that sector. So we can learn a lot from each other in terms of how we grow these different sectors, innovation corridors, and share those experiences, and I suppose benefit from each other's learnings.
Brilliant, thanks for it, Jamie. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the green agenda develops, and especially as both cities are sort of looking to build back better, to coin a phrase, has been discussed on several occasions. So interesting one to watch out for. Thanks for that, Jamie. And turning to yourself, John.
I think you know that old British Telecom tagline, "It's good to talk." Actually, it is good to talk, and if the more we talk, the more we'll understand we actually have a lot in common, and we have a lot of interest in common and potential collaborations in common. Yeah, if anyone is interested in kicking the tires on on Dublin and what have you, we're more than happy, and the city council, everyone likes to facilitate here. I mean, we're a friendly place. I know Manchester is a pretty friendly place as well. I've been there many times, and there's great connectivity between the two cities. So let's plan to talk more, I guess.
Great, and then certainly with the remote working that we're all doing, it sort of affords us to do that. But that's notwithstanding the opportunities that I'm sure we're all looking forward to, or most looking forward to in the future, that ability to meet face to face as well. And coming to yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, John alluded to it as well. It's the idea of talking to people that that have done it before, whatever that city might be. But even myself, we mentioned about pints of Guinness at the start. I had my first pint of Guinness in a pub there last week, and I was really impressed with the standard. But it was actually the sentence that the barman said that I couldn't put it any better. He's from Dublin but grew up in Offaly, and he said, "You can't kick a football in Manchester without hitting somebody Irish." And it is so true. There is so many connections between the cities, and people are willing to help people. So it's like the biggest thing I've found in my short time in Manchester is the similarities in personality and willing to give a dig out, willing to help, willing to chat, and I suppose willing to give the time. And if you're looking to grow or looking to scale in a city that affords you them type of opportunities and people are willing to talk, you never know what the next opportunity will bring. You never know what the next conversation will bring. And that's the excitement of startups and scale-ups.
Brilliant, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it's an interesting debate, isn't it? The whole football and sport agenda at the moment, very topical. But on a business level, it's just one of several areas that can reunite and bring people together in terms of common areas of discussion. And as John said, sort of nodding there, let's talk, let's engage. Let's keep engaging with each other to bring out these areas of commonality and build on what are two very established cities. Just a really a question and observation in the chat as well. People just asking, how can people reach out and find more? So I'm just going to ask Naomi just to bring up the closing slide in terms of contact details that we can share with everybody. Post this particular event as well, we will be posting through social media and furthering the discussion, giving people the opportunity to watch back as well, and equally adding contact details in. So whether it's Midas, Dublin City Council, all of these agencies that we've talked about today, we're certainly going to be putting those in there as well. So do reach out to us, get in touch, and we're more than happy to help. Just another one coming through. Any incentives for businesses to look at that could encourage people to come over to Dublin? So not sure whether Jamie or John wants to take that.
Will I go there, Jeff? Yeah. So in terms of incentives, I think the whole incentive business is a complicated one, and it isn't really a one size fits all. So I think if anyone is interested in discussing incentives, we'll certainly point them in the right direction. But there are incentives, but the whole I suppose prohibition on contravening sort of EU regulations for supporting companies. You have to be very there aren't huge incentives like there were a long time ago, but there are incentives, yes, and we're happy to point people in the right direction.
Yeah, I might just, Jeff, add to that in terms of probably where the big incentives are in the area of R&D and innovation. So if you want to, come to Dublin and set up office and collaborate with universities and focus on R&D, Ireland, Dublin is absolutely the best place. I'd say one of the best places in the world to do that.
Great, thanks for that, John and Jamie. Yeah, I mean the whole area which we've not explored in masses of detail, but it's quite evident from the discussion today, is the area of innovation. So a real big drive, and two great cities that we've identified that are leading the way and will continue to lead the way, with their areas of innovation. Great, and so that pretty much concludes today's session, pretty much on time. So just wanted to say, a really big thank you to all of our presenters, to our panelists today, and more importantly to you, the audience. We hope you found the session useful today. As I say, we will be posting further information through social media. So wherever you are in the world, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much, everybody.